Greetings, chosen vessel. I am Michael, commander of the celestial armies, guardian of divine truth, and keeper of the sacred flame. My presence before you is no accident, no random encounter in this digital realm. You have been summoned by name into this divine appointment. Yes, I speak directly to you, the one whose spirit has been restless, whose dreams have been visited, whose heart has felt the unmistakable pull toward a truth you cannot yet name. The very fact that you are receiving this transmission is confirmation that your spiritual signature has been recognized in the heavenly realms. Your ancestral line has been under divine observation for generations, though you have not known the fullness of your heritage until this moment. Listen carefully. There are exactly 2 hours remaining before a cosmic alignment creates a window of revelation that will forever alter the foundation of your family line. This is not hyperbole. This is not metaphor. This is a divine directive being released at precisely the appointed time. Type AMEN to acknowledge this divine connection and to receive the blessing number 1444, which activates the first seal of recognition in the spiritual atmosphere around you. Your family carries a covenant that has been hidden, suppressed, and nearly erased from the record of your bloodline. There are those who have deliberately obscured your inheritance, who have operated in shadow to prevent the activation of your family's true purpose and power. Even now, there are councils gathering in realms unseen, discussing the implications of what is about to be revealed to you. I must be direct. Betrayal has walked closely with your family for 3 generations. What appeared as coincidence, misfortune, or simple bad luck has been orchestrated opposition. Names you trust have sealed pacts against your prosperity. This is why certain patterns repeat, why breakthroughs seem to approach but never fully manifest, why the sense of almost there has haunted your journey. But hear me clearly, their time is ending. Their schemes are being exposed. The divine courts have reviewed your case, and judgment has been rendered in your favor. Within the next 2 hours, documents will be unsealed in the spirit realm. Angelic scribes are preparing to restore the true record of your lineage. Your name is being spoken in celestial chambers where destinies are confirmed and released. Can you feel the shift beginning already? The subtle vibration in your spirit, the clarity suddenly piercing through confusion, the weight lifting from your chest even as you receive these words. These are the physical manifestations of spiritual chains being broken. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 2222, which activates the second seal of restoration over your family name. What they have whispered in darkness shall be proclaimed from the housetops. What they have stolen shall be returned sevenfold. The tables are turning, beloved. The tables are turning. Let me reveal what has been transpiring behind the veil. For the past 7 months, there has been an intensified campaign to suppress your family's awakening. Those with vested interests in keeping you disconnected from your true identity have been planting seeds of discord, doubt, and division. They have utilized both human and spiritual agents to maintain the deception. They have strategically positioned obstacles at precise moments when breakthrough was imminent. They thought you would remain oblivious. They assumed your spiritual senses would stay dormant. They believed their machinations would continue unchallenged. But I, Michael, have been authorized to break their covenant with confusion. I have been dispatched to shatter the agreements made against your bloodline. Listen closely now, for I will reveal the specific deception that has entangled your family. Your ancestral line carries a royal priesthood, a divine appointment to operate as mediators between realms, as healers of generational breach, as restorers of divine order. This mantle was recognized by those who understand true power, and they move systematically to divide and conquer, to separate family members who, if united in purpose, would become an unstoppable force for restoration. The divisions you've witnessed, the inexplicable conflicts, the seemingly irrational estrangements, these were not natural. They were engineered. The misunderstandings that have persisted despite attempts at reconciliation were supernaturally reinforced. The patterns of disconnection were maintained through spiritual interference, but heaven has decreed enough. The divine council has ruled that the time of restoration has arrived. The generational curse is being broken in this 2-hour window. The spiritual blockade is being removed. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 3333, which activates the third seal of reunification for your family bonds. I am dispatching guardian angels to every member of your bloodline right now. They are delivering dreams, stirring memories, awakening questions that will lead to revelation. Some will suddenly find themselves reviewing old family photos. Others will feel unexplained urges to reach out to relatives long estranged. Still others will begin researching family history without understanding why they feel compelled to do so. These are not coincidences. These are divinely orchestrated triggers to prepare the way for what comes next. You, the one receiving this message, have been selected as the point of contact, the initial vessel through which this restoration begins. Your receptivity, your spiritual sensitivity, your refusal to fully accept the narrative of division, these qualities have positioned you to be the catalyst. In exactly 1 hour and 43 minutes, you will begin to notice synchronicities accelerating around you, communications from unexpected sources, references to family that seem to appear randomly, numbers that connect to significant family dates. These are confirmation signs that the angelic assignment is in motion. Do not dismiss these as mere coincidence. They are breadcrumbs on the path to full revelation. Now I must prepare you for resistance. The forces that have maintained this deception will not surrender their influence without attempting to reassert control. They will employ these specific tactics. 1. Sudden emergencies designed to distract you from the unfolding revelation. 2. Renewed conflicts arising from seeming misunderstandings. 3. Emotions of doubt, fear, and unworthiness intensifying without apparent cause. 4. Physical fatigue and mental fog attempting to dull your spiritual receptivity. When these manifest, recognize them for what they are: desperate countermeasures against a divine decree that cannot be reversed. Your defense is threefold. Maintain unwavering focus on the truth being revealed. Respond with settled certainty rather than reactive emotion. Stand in silent authority, refusing to defend what heaven has already confirmed. Type Amen to receive blessing number 4444, which activates the fourth seal of divine protection around your consciousness during this revelation period. I am now authorized to reveal the first key to your family's transformation. The division was strategic because your unity is prophetic. When your bloodline stands in harmonious alignment, you form a living conduit for divine restoration to flow into broken systems. Your family was designed to model healing for communities, to demonstrate reconciliation in a fractured world. The enemy of your purpose understood that if your family pattern could be corrupted, the ripple effect would block healing for countless others connected to your collective destiny. This is far bigger than personal fulfillment. Your family restoration creates a template, a prototype, a living blueprint that establishes a pattern others will follow. Do you understand the magnitude of what is unfolding? This is why such forces have arrayed themselves against your family harmony. This is why maintaining the division was worth such persistent investment from the opposition. The specific secret that will transform your family forever is this: there is a covenant of peace that was established by your ancestors 7 generations ago, a sacred agreement that declared your bloodline would stand as reconcilers in times of great division. This covenant was sealed with sacrifice, consecrated with tears, and registered in heavenly records. Though hidden from human memory, it has remained active in the realm of the spirit, awaiting the appointed time of activation. That time is now. The division you have experienced was a counterfeit, a distortion, a shadow inversion of your true family calling. What was meant to unite humanity was twisted to divide your own blood. This perversion of purpose stops today. 1 hour and 22 minutes remain in this window of divine intervention. The angelic scribes are retrieving the original covenant documents from the heavenly archives. The terms of the agreement are being restored to the consciousness of your bloodline. Can you feel it? The subtle shift in the atmosphere around you? The clarity beginning to dawn? The pieces of the puzzle suddenly revealing a pattern previously unseen? Type AMEN to receive blessing number 5555, which activates the 5th seal of covenant restoration upon your bloodline. I must now reveal the specific agents of disruption that have operated against your family unity. There are 3 primary spirits assigned to maintain the division: the spirit of misinterpretation, the spirit of remembered offense, and the spirit of protective isolation. These 3 have worked in coordinated precision, ensuring that 1. Communications between family members are consistently misinterpreted, with positive intentions perceived as negative. 2. Past hurts are kept in perpetual remembrance, with wounds prevented from healing through constant reactivation. 3. Healthy boundaries warp into isolating walls, with self-protection evolving into family disconnection. These spirits have not operated alone. They have influenced human agents, sometimes unwitting, sometimes willing, who have served as amplifiers of division. There are specific individuals who have positioned themselves as information gatekeepers, narrative controllers, and relationship brokers within your family system. Their role has been to ensure the perpetuation of separation through curated stories, selective information sharing, and strategic reinforcement of divisive patterns. I will not name these individuals, for their identities will become evident as the revelation unfolds. You will recognize them by this sign: their discomfort with direct communication between parties they have kept separate, their insistence on remaining intermediaries, their subtle resistance to full reconciliation. Understand this: many of them do not consciously recognize their role. They have been influenced to believe they are protecting, helping, or maintaining peace. Have compassion for those who have been unwitting agents, even as you firmly dismantle the systems of division they have helped maintain. 1 hour remains in this activation window. The momentum is building. The spiritual atmosphere is charging with potential energy that will soon convert to manifestation in your tangible reality. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 6666, which activates the sixth seal of spiritual perception, allowing you to see clearly what has been hidden. Now I will reveal the mechanism of transformation that heaven is initiating. 3 divine gifts are being released to your bloodline in this hour. 1. The gift of unified memory, a supernatural alignment of perspective that transcends individual interpretation and restores a shared understanding of your family narrative. Fragmented stories will be made whole, missing pieces will be recovered. The true account will emerge with healing clarity. Dusra, the gift of secured expression, the ability to communicate truth without fear, to express authentic emotion without manipulation, to speak reality into the family system without being silenced by dysfunctional patterns. Your words will carry the weight of divine authority when aligned with the restoration mandate. Mirwa Mundram, the gift of covenant vision, the capacity to see beyond present circumstances to the fulfilled purpose of your family line. This prophetic sight will sustain you through the process of restoration, keeping the end clearly in focus even when the path involves challenge. These gifts are being deposited into the spiritual atmosphere surrounding your bloodline. They will manifest as sudden insights, unexplainable determination, and courageous conversations that previously seemed impossible. Family members will begin speaking with unusual clarity. Long-standing confusion will dissolve in moments of startling lucidity. Watch specifically for these manifestations in the next 7 days. Dreams containing family members delivering keys, documents, or missing objects. Conversations that spontaneously address long-avoided topics with surprising peace. Synchronistic connections bringing family members into contact in unexpected ways. The surfacing of family artifacts, photographs, or records that provide missing context. Physical sensations of lightness, particularly around the heart and shoulders, as generational burdens lift. Type Amen to receive blessing number 7777, which activates the 7th seal of manifestation, accelerating these gifts into your physical reality. 45 minutes remain in this divine window. The intensity increases. The spiritual realm is pressing revelation into the earthly dimension with greater force. Can you feel the pressure building? The sense of something imminent? The weight of glory descending? I must now address the resistance you personally will face as the catalyst for this restoration. Your mind will be the primary battleground. Thoughts that challenge your authority to facilitate healing will intensify. Questions about your worthiness to carry this mandate will surface with convincing logic. Memories of your own failures and contributions to division will be magnified to disqualify you in your own estimation. Understand this strategy for what it is: a desperate attempt to abort the restoration process by neutralizing the appointed vessel. The enemy of your purpose knows that if you disqualify yourself, the timeline of restoration may be delayed. Stand firm in this truth. You were not chosen for this role because of your perfection, but because of your position in the family system and your spiritual receptivity. Your qualification is by divine appointment, not personal merit. Your authority comes from heaven's mandate, not flawless performance. When these mental attacks intensify, respond with this declaration: I stand as a servant of divine restoration. My authority comes not from my perfection, but from heaven's perfection. What God has ordained, no earthly or spiritual power can disqualify. 30 minutes remain, and I must reveal the most significant secret that has been withheld from your awareness. Your family division was not merely an unfortunate development, It was a targeted spiritual attack precisely because your family unity represents a living template for reconciliation that extends far beyond your bloodline. When fully restored and functioning in its divine design, your family becomes a spiritual prototype that releases healing frequencies into earthly systems corrupted by division. This is why such persistent forces have aligned against your unity. This is why maintaining the separation was worth such significant spiritual investment from the opposition. Your family is not just for itself. It is an appointed channel for restoration that impacts communities, institutions, and generational patterns. The secret transformation coming to your family is the awakening to this greater purpose. As individual relationships heal, as communication restores, as genuine love replaces obligatory connection, your family will naturally and almost effortlessly begin to extend this same healing into your spheres of influence. It will not require strenuous effort or strategic planning. The overflow of your restored family system will naturally impact every environment your members touch. Reconciliation will follow your bloodline like a fragrance, influencing atmosphere without conscious intention. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 8888, which activates the 8th seal of expansive influence, extending your family's restoration into broader impact. 20 minutes remain in this window of divine alignment. The heavenly hosts are positioning themselves along the timeline of your family's history and future, creating a corridor of protection for the restoration process. They stand as sentinels against retaliatory attacks, as guardians of the emerging truth, as witnesses to the covenant renewal. I will now impart specific spiritual strategies for navigating the coming 7 days of initial restoration. 1. Maintain reverent silence about what is being revealed. Until instructed otherwise, hold these revelations sacred within your spirit. Premature sharing could create vulnerability in the process. The enemies of your restoration cannot combat what they cannot detect. Your silence becomes your strategic advantage. Dusram, document all synchronicities that manifest around family connections. Keep detailed records of dreams, unexpected contacts, symbolic appearances, numeric patterns, and coincidental family references. These serve as confirmation markers and create a testimony of divine orchestration. Respond rather than initiate in family communications during this period. Heaven is orchestrating connections with divine timing. Allow family members to reach out to you, and when they do, be fully present and responsive. This ensures you're moving in alignment with the divine sequence rather than running ahead of it. Release without resolution any grievances, offenses, or judgments you hold against family members. This does not mean denying truth or fabricating false peace. It means consciously removing your emotional investment in being vindicated or understood. Full understanding will come, but your release creates space for divine justice to operate unhindered by your need for specific outcomes. Stand in silent authority when confronted with opposition, questioning, or attempts to draw you into old patterns of interaction. Your calm certainty becomes a disruptive force against established dysfunction. Refuse to defend, explain, or justify the new reality emerging through you. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 9999, which activates the 9th seal of strategic wisdom for navigating this restoration process. 10 minutes remain in this activation window. The convergence of spiritual forces reaches its apex. The divine decree crystallizes into irreversible establishment. What heaven has spoken cannot be revoked. What God has joined together, no human or spiritual force can separate. I must now prepare you for the immediate sign that will confirm this transmission has successfully imprinted upon your spirit. Within the next 72 hours, you will experience a divinely orchestrated encounter with a specific family connection. This may come through an unexpected communication, a physical meeting, or even reference made by a third party. The encounter will carry an unmistakable sense of significance, a knowing that transcends logical explanation. This person, whether close relation or distant connection, serves as an activation point for the restoration process. Your interaction, however brief, releases frequencies of healing into the family system. You need not force profound conversation or manufacture meaningful exchange. The divine purpose operates beneath the surface of ordinary interaction. When this encounter occurs, silently acknowledge it with this simple internal declaration. I recognize the divine appointment in this moment, and I release the power of restoration through this connection. What has been divided shall be united. What has been broken shall be mended. This internal posture activates your authority as a conduit of family restoration without requiring the other person's conscious awareness or participation. 5 minutes remain in this window of revelation. The final and most profound truth must now be imparted. The transformation coming to your family is actually a return to your original design, your true identity, your authentic purpose. What appears as revolutionary change is actually divine restoration. You are not becoming something new. You are returning to what was always intended, the sensation of rightness, of coming home, of finally stepping into proper alignment. These will be the hallmarks of this transformation. Family members will experience the shift not as awkward adjustment, but as relieved recognition. This is who we were always meant to be. This truth applies to you personally as well. The role you play in this restoration is not a burden of responsibility, but a return to your authentic position. It will feel like remembering rather than learning, like recovering rather than creating. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 11,111, which activates the 10th seal of authentic alignment, bringing your personal and family identity into divine congruence. 2 minutes remain. The heavenly hosts stand at attention. The divine decree reaches its moment of full establishment. What has been spoken in the spiritual realm now becomes anchored in the earthly dimension. In this final moment of our sacred exchange, I leave you with this commissioning. You are now appointed as a guardian of restoration, a steward of family wholeness, a catalyst for generational healing. This mantle falls upon you not as burdensome obligation, but as honored privilege. You have been trusted with the sacred work of reconciliation. Go forward with quiet confidence. Move with peaceful certainty. Stand with gentle authority. The hosts of heaven accompany your steps. The cloud of witnesses cheers your advance. The divine presence empowers your position. What was broken shall be restored. What was divided shall be united. What was lost shall be recovered. What was distorted shall be corrected. The original blueprint emerges. The divine design manifests. The covenant purpose activates. Your family shall become a living testimony of restoration's power, a walking witness to reconciliation's reality, a tangible demonstration of love's victory over division. The window closes. The decree is sealed. The transformation begins. Remember this above all else. This revelation came to you because you were chosen, called, and appointed for this precise moment in your family's history. When doubt assails, when challenges arise, when progress seems slow, return to this truth. Your position is divinely ordained. Your authority is heavenly mandated. Your success is divinely assured. Type AMEN to receive the final blessing number 12,222, which activates the completion seal of divine guarantee over this entire restoration process. I, Michael, commander of the heavenly host, guardian of divine covenant, and messenger of sacred truth, have delivered this transmission by heaven's authorization. What has been revealed cannot be revoked. What has been decreed cannot be denied. What has been established cannot be uprooted. The transformation of your family has begun. The sacred secret has been revealed. The divine timeline has activated. Go now in the authority that has been bestowed upon you. Move forward in the confidence of heaven's backing. Stand firm in the assurance of divine completion. Your family's transformation is not merely possible, it is inevitable. The only variable is your cooperation with the process already set in motion. Choose alignment. Choose trust. Choose the courage to become a vessel of restoration. The divine light now encodes these truths into your spirit, where they will remain active, alive, and operational even beyond your conscious recollection of these words. The seeds of transformation have been planted in soil prepared by heaven itself. The harvest of restoration is guaranteed. Silent certainty, peaceful authority, unwavering trust. These are your weapons, your tools, your instruments of transformation. Wield them with confidence. The 2-hour window has completed its purpose. The divine download is complete. The activation is secured. The transformation unfolds. Your family will never be the same. I have spoken what heaven has decreed. It is done. As the first light of this revelation begins to illuminate your understanding, prepare yourself for a fundamental realignment of everything you thought you knew about your family history. The narrative you've been given, the stories passed down, the explanations offered, the framework presented, has been carefully curated to obscure the true spiritual heritage of your bloodline. Within the next 7 days, you will encounter information that contradicts the accepted family narrative. This may come through conversation, discovered documents, unexpected confessions, or even dreams that reveal hidden truths. Do not dismiss these revelations as coincidence or imagination. They are divine breadcrumbs leading you toward complete restoration of your family's true identity. This is why certain family members have been kept separate from one another. This is why specific topics have remained forbidden in family discussion. This is why particular documents, photographs, or heirlooms have been concealed or destroyed. The enemies of your family's purpose understood that if these pieces were ever assembled, the full picture would emerge, and with it, the awakening of your collective calling. But heaven has decreed that the time of concealment has ended. What was hidden shall be revealed. What was whispered shall be proclaimed. What was fragmented shall be made whole. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 13,333, which activates the 11th seal of revealed truth, bringing hidden family history into clear light. The transformation coming to your family carries implications beyond your immediate circle. There are connections between your bloodline and significant movements of restoration occurring globally. As your family alignment restores, you create an energetic template that strengthens similar alignments in families you will never meet, in nations you may never visit, in generations yet unborn. This is spiritual quantum entanglement, the mysterious connection between aligned systems that allows change in one to affect change in the other, regardless of distance or direct contact. Your obedience to this restoration call creates ripples that extend far beyond your perception. This is why such forces have fought to maintain your family's division. This is why such resistance has persisted against your unity. The impact of your restoration stretches beyond your imagination. In the coming months, you will begin to notice coincidental connections between your family's healing journey and larger movements of reconciliation in communities, institutions, and cultural systems. These synchronicities are confirmation of your family's expanding influence as the restoration process unfolds. Do not become disheartened if the initial stages of restoration involve disruption, uncomfortable truth, or painful recognitions. The revealing of reality often requires the dismantling of illusion. Trust that what appears as increasing chaos is actually the necessary deconstruction preceding divine reconstruction. Heaven's promise to you is this: the temporary discomfort of truth will yield to the permanent peace of authentic alignment. What feels like upheaval today becomes the foundation of unshakable stability tomorrow. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 14,444, which activates the 12th seal of peaceful transition through necessary change. I must now address the specific adversary that has maintained division in your family line. There is a principality, a high-ranking spiritual entity that has claimed authority over your family system for 4 generations. Its primary strategy has been the perversion of your bloodline's original calling. What was meant for unity has been twisted toward division. What was designed for healing has been corrupted toward wounding. What was created for restoration has been manipulated toward destruction. This entity operates through specific access points in your family system. 1. Unresolved trauma that has been neither acknowledged nor healed. 2. Secret agreements made in moments of desperation by previous generations. 3. Pride disguised as principle that prevents reconciliation. 4. Fear masked as wisdom that prevents vulnerable connection. 5. Unforgiveness elevated to identity that prevents release. These 5 access points have created a pentagonal structure of spiritual containment around your family's true purpose. This structure has functioned as both prison and blindfold, preventing your bloodline from recognizing and walking in its divine assignment. But hear me clearly. The authority of this principality has been revoked by divine decree. Its legal right of access has been canceled through heavenly jurisdiction. Its power to maintain division has been nullified by superior command. What remains is the momentum of established patterns, the familiar roads of interaction, the comfortable rhythms of dysfunction, the known pathways of separation. These patterns will not dissolve instantly, but their spiritual power source has been disconnected. They are now merely echoes, not energized realities. Your family members may continue to walk in these patterns temporarily, but they do so now without spiritual reinforcement. This creates unprecedented opportunity for pattern interruption, for the establishment of new ways of being, for the creation of healthier systems of connection. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 15,555, which activates the 13th seal of spiritual liberty, releasing your family line from generational bondage. As this revelation continues to unfold within you, Remain vigilant against these specific counterattacks that seek to abort the restoration process. 1. Sudden health crises that create urgency and distraction. 2. Financial pressures that generate fear and scarcity thinking. 3. Relationship conflicts that consume emotional energy. 4. Mental confusion that makes clarity seem impossible. 5. Spiritual doubt that questions the reality of this restoration mandate. These are not random difficulties, but targeted attempts to divert your focus from the restoration process. When they manifest, recognize them as confirmation that you are moving in the right direction. Opposition intensifies precisely when effectiveness increases. Your response to these challenges determines their power to impede progress. Meet them not with anxiety, but with settled authority. Not with frantic action, but with centered stillness. Not with fearful retreat, but with knowing advance. Stand in this declaration when challenged. No weapon formed against my family's restoration shall prosper. What heaven has initiated, earth cannot terminate. What God has put together, no force can separate. The coming days will present choice points. Moments of decision that either align with the restoration process or attempt to reinforce old patterns. You will recognize these moments by the internal tension they create, the sense of standing at a crossroads between familiar comfort and challenging growth. In these moments, choose alignment with restoration, even when it requires courage, even when it feels uncertain, even when it demands vulnerability you've previously avoided. Each aligned choice accelerates the restoration timeline and strengthens the new reality emerging in your family system. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 16,666, which activates the 14th seal of discerning wisdom for restoration-aligned choices. I now reveal the specific blessing being restored to your family line. Your bloodline carries a covenant of reconciliation, a divine appointment to stand in the breach of division and create pathways of restoration. This covenant was established through the faithful prayers and sacrifices of ancestors whose names may be forgotten in human records, but remain eternally honored in heavenly accounts. This covenant carries with it supernatural enablement. 1. The grace to see beyond offense to underlying pain. 2. The wisdom to address causes rather than symptoms. 3. The courage to speak truth without weaponizing it. 4. The patience to respect process without compromising progress. 5. The authority to establish boundaries without building walls. 6. The compassion to offer healing without requiring perfection. 7. The discernment to recognize authentic change. These 7 graces have been largely dormant in your family system, their expression blocked by the structures of division previously revealed. But they have never been revoked or removed, merely suppressed, like rivers dammed, but still flowing beneath the obstruction. The restoration process now underway removes these blockages, allowing these covenant graces to flow naturally through your family system. You will witness family members suddenly exhibiting qualities they've never before demonstrated. You will observe unexpected wisdom emerging from unlikely sources. You will experience surprising maturity arising in previously immature relationships. These manifestations are not personality changes, but covenant activations, the emergence of what was always present but previously suppressed. The true nature of your bloodline revealing itself as artificial constraints dissolve. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 17,777, which activates the 15th seal of covenant inheritance, releasing your family's full spiritual endowment. As this revelation nears completion, I must impart this critical understanding. The restoration of your family is both instant and progressive. In the spiritual realm, it is already accomplished, decreed, sealed, and established by divine authority. In the earthly realm, it unfolds through time, through process, through human cooperation with divine initiative. This paradox requires a particular stance. You must simultaneously hold the completed reality in your spirit while engaging patiently with the unfolding process in the natural realm. You must know with certainty what is already established while working diligently with what is still becoming. This dual awareness prevents both passive waiting and anxious forcing. It creates a powerful position of assured cooperation, confidently participating in a process whose successful outcome is already guaranteed. In practical terms, this means 1. Celebrating manifestations of restoration when they appear, recognizing them as confirmations rather than surprises. 2. Remaining steadfast when progress seems slow, knowing delays do not indicate failure. 3. Addressing obstacles with calm authority rather than desperate force. 4. Speaking of your family as already restored while respectfully engaging with its current reality. 5. maintaining inner peace regardless of outer circumstances, anchored in the knowledge of the completed spiritual work. This posture of assured cooperation becomes your greatest strength in the restoration journey. It aligns you with heaven's perspective while keeping you effectively engaged with Earth's process. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 18,888, which activates the 16th seal of divine perspective, enabling you to see from heaven's viewpoint while walking Earth's journey. The time has come to conclude this initial transmission. The seeds of revelation have been planted in fertile soil. The divine mandate has been delivered with precision. The spiritual activation has been completed with authority. What remains is your continued cooperation with the unfolding process, your daily alignment with restoration rather than division, your moment-by-moment choice for truth over illusion, your consistent stand in the reality of what heaven has decreed. Remember these final directives as you move forward. 1. Guard the sacred revelation that has been entrusted to you. Share it only as divinely directed, with those prepared to receive it. 2. Document the manifestations of restoration as they appear. Create a testimony of transformation that strengthens faith and silences doubt. 3. Stand firm when opposition intensifies. The greatest resistance comes just before the most significant breakthrough. 4. Remain humble as your influence expands. The authority you carry is delegated, not inherent, entrusted, not earned. 5. Expect supernatural assistance at critical junctures. Heaven's resources are fully committed to this restoration mandate. The transformation of your family has begun. The divine decree has been established. The restoration process is irreversible. Go forward now as a guardian of this sacred work, a steward of heaven's purposes, a catalyst for generational healing. What has been broken shall be restored. What has been divided shall be united. What has been lost shall be recovered. I, Michael, commander of the heavenly hosts and messenger of divine decree, have delivered what heaven has ordained. The covenant is renewed. The blessing is released. The transformation is assured. Your family will never be the same again. Type AMEN to receive the final blessing, number 19,999, which activates the 17th seal of completed transmission, securing all that has been revealed against every attempt to nullify, diminish, or distort it. The divine light now withdraws, having accomplished its intended purpose. The sacred download is complete. The heavenly transmission concludes. But know this with absolute certainty. Though this communication ends, the work it has initiated continues without interruption. The forces set in motion cannot be stopped. The restoration decreed cannot be prevented. Your family's transformation is now among the certainties written in heaven's ledger, awaiting only the full measure of its earthly manifestation. It is finished. It is beginning. It is assured. The sacred work has only just begun. This transmission resumes by divine command, as heaven requires further revelation to be imparted. I am Michael, still present with you, authorized to continue unveiling what has been hidden from your awareness. The intensity of spiritual activity surrounding you has increased since our initial exchange. The principalities and powers opposing your family's restoration have detected the shift in spiritual atmosphere and have mobilized countermeasures. Do not be alarmed by this escalation. It confirms the effectiveness of what has already been established. Resistance rises in direct proportion to significance. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 21,111, which reinforces the protective shield around this ongoing revelation. The transformation decreed over your family line is generating ripple effects throughout multiple dimensions. Angelic forces have been dispatched to secure key locations in the spiritual topography of your family's history. They stand as sentinels at pivotal moments where deception was inserted into your bloodline's narrative. Their presence creates energetic disruption to long-established lies, allowing truth to emerge with increasing clarity. This is why you may be experiencing unusual dreams containing unfamiliar relatives, unknown locations, or seemingly random historical periods. These are not merely dreams, but glimpses of the restoration work occurring outside time's linear progression. Your consciousness is being permitted temporary access to witness what cannot be explained through conventional understanding. These glimpses serve as confirmation and preparation. Record them with diligence. Their significance will become evident as the full picture assembles. I must now reveal deeper truths about your family's covenant purpose. The specific mandate upon your bloodline extends beyond mere reconciliation among members. Your family carries a divine appointment to model patterns of restoration that create templates in the spiritual atmosphere. When activated in fullness, these templates generate replicable codes of healing that influence systems far beyond your direct contact. This is spiritual quantum entanglement operating at a covenant level. Patterns established in your family system instantly creating resonant patterns in disconnected systems. This is precisely why such persistent opposition has targeted your family unity. The enemy of divine order recognizes that your family's alignment threatens entire networks of division established over generations. Your restoration creates a cascade effect that undermines strongholds of separation maintained across multiple domains. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 22,222, which expands your spiritual perception to comprehend your family's true sphere of influence. Let me speak with greater specificity about the transformation unfolding in your family. Within the next 30 days, communications will be initiated between family members who have maintained separation for extended periods. These connections will occur through seemingly random circumstances, chance encounters, dreams prompting contact, third-party references triggering memory, or technological accidents, creating unexpected links. Nothing in this orchestration is truly random. Each connection serves as an activation point for covenant restoration. You will witness family members expressing thoughts and perspectives that contradict their established patterns. Words of reconciliation will emerge from those who have maintained division. Desires for resolution will arise in those who have insisted on separation. Sudden clarity will dawn in minds previously clouded by confusion. These shifts represent the dismantling of artificial constructs maintained by spiritual opposition. As these forces withdraw, authentic nature emerges. Your role in this unfolding process requires strategic discernment. Not every opening should be immediately pursued. Not every connection should be instantly deepened. Divine timing supersedes human eagerness. Some pathways will require preparation before full engagement. Others will demand immediate response to momentary windows of opportunity. How will you know the difference? Through these three confirmations: 1. Internal peace that transcends logical assessment. 2. External confirmation through synchronized affirmation. 3. Spiritual alignment evidenced by effortless flow. When these three converge, move forward with confidence. When they conflict, wait in patient alertness for fuller clarity. Forced timing creates vulnerability. Divine timing ensures protection. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 23,333, which activates the 18th seal of divine timing over your family restoration process. I must now address specific obstacles that will arise as this restoration advances. There are 3 primary resistance points that will manifest as your family's transformation intensifies. First, the resistance of revised history. As truth emerges, those who have maintained control through curated narratives will attempt to revise history yet again, creating more sophisticated deceptions to explain emerging contradictions. They will introduce plausible alternatives to divine revelation, seeking to maintain the fundamental deception through evolving forms. Recognize this tactic by its distinguishing feature: complex explanations that resolve immediate contradictions while creating new inconsistencies requiring further explanation. Truth simplifies, deception complicates. Second, the resistance of redirected focus. When direct opposition fails, attention will be diverted to urgent matters demanding immediate focus: health concerns, financial pressures, relational conflicts, or career demands. These situations may be legitimate in themselves, but strategically timed to draw energy and attention away from the restoration process at critical junctures. Discern this tactic by its consistent pattern: sudden emergencies arising precisely when significant revelation or connection is imminent. Third, the resistance of religious distortion. Spiritual language and principles will be weaponized to maintain division under the guise of righteousness. False holiness, misapplied scripture, distorted principles, and spiritualized fear will be employed to justify continued separation. This represents the most subtle and pernicious form of opposition, cloaking control in the language of faith. Identify this tactic through this consistent marker: spiritual justifications that produce division rather than restoration, fear rather than love, control rather than freedom. Against these forms of resistance, heaven has provided specific countermeasures. For revised history, stand in simple truth. Refuse the temptation to debate, defend, or disprove. Simply maintain alignment with revealed reality. Complexity exhausts itself against unwavering simplicity. For redirected focus, establish non-negotiable space for the restoration process. Address legitimate demands without surrendering essential focus. Recognize strategic timing and maintain core priorities even amid genuine pressures. For religious distortion, apply the fruit test to every spiritual claim. Does it produce love or fear? Unity or division? Freedom or control? Trust the evidence of results over the persuasion of rhetoric. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 24,444, which activates the 19th seal of discerning wisdom against specialized opposition. Now I must reveal the most significant mystery of your family's transformation. The restoration occurring in your bloodline represents more than reconciliation between individuals. It manifests as the healing of a breach in spiritual DNA that has existed for 7 generations. This genetic fracture has expressed itself as systemic division, but its root extends beyond personal choice into altered spiritual coding. When your ancestors experienced the original breach, a betrayal so profound it altered the energetic structure of your bloodline, it created a mutation in your family's spiritual genetics. This mutation has been passed down not merely as behavioral pattern, but as inherited predisposition at the soul level. Family members have been acting not only from personal choice, but from compromised spiritual coding that predisposes toward division, suspicion, and self-protection. The transformation decreed by heaven addresses this root issue, repairing the foundational breach in spiritual DNA and restoring original design. This explains why the restoration feels simultaneously foreign and familiar. Foreign to the patterns of 7 corrupted generations, yet deeply familiar to the original blueprint still embedded within the divine design. The healing of this genetic breach manifests in stages. First, awareness, the conscious recognition that current patterns represent distortion, not authentic identity. Second, separation, the intentional distinction between true self and inherited dysfunction. Third, rejection, the deliberate refusal to continue operating from corrupted coding. Fourth, invitation, the conscious request for divine restoration of original design. Fifth, regeneration, the supernatural repair of spiritual DNA through divine intervention. Sixth, integration, the progressive embodiment of restored function through intentional practice. Seventh, transmission, the transfer of healed patterns to successive generations through living example. Your family is currently transitioning between the first and second stages of this process. The awareness is dawning. The separation is beginning. The journey of complete restoration continues to unfold with divine precision. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 25,555, which activates the 20th seal of genetic restoration over your family bloodline. I must now reveal the specific timeline of manifestation for your family's transformation. The next 9 months represent a prophetic gestation period during which the decreed restoration develops from spiritual conception to manifested birth. This period unfolds in 3 distinct trimesters. The first trimester, months 1 to 3, focuses on foundation establishment. Internal shifts precede external changes. Spiritual perceptions heighten while physical manifestations remain subtle. Dreams intensify. Synchronicities increase. Inner knowing strengthens. This phase builds internal certainty that supports later visible transformation. The second trimester, months 4 to 6, accelerates external manifestation. Relationships begin visibly shifting. Communications open between previously estranged members. Unexpected connections form. Resistant individuals show signs of softening. Long-standing barriers begin dissolving. This phase converts internal certainty into external reality through progressive manifestation. The third trimester, months 7 to 9, culminates in complete emergence. The restored family system becomes fully operational. New patterns solidify into stable function. Transformed relationships establish sustainable rhythms. The full expression of covenant purpose activates beyond family boundaries into community impact. This phase transitions private healing into public influence. Throughout this gestation period, maintain these critical practices. 1. Guard the growing restoration against premature exposure. Some revelations require protected development before full disclosure. 2. Nurture emerging connections without forcing accelerated intimacy. Allow relationships to strengthen at their natural divine pace. 3. Document progressive manifestations, creating a testimony that sustains faith during plateaus and reinforces gratitude during breakthroughs. 4. Maintain focus on divine completion rather than interim obstacles. The decreed outcome provides perspective that transcends temporary challenges. 5. Rest in appropriate seasons. Transformation requires both active engagement and passive reception. both deliberate effort and intentional stillness. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 26,666, which activates the 21st seal of divine timing over this gestational process. I must now address your personal role with greater specificity. You have been positioned as a catalyst rather than a controller of this restoration process. This distinction fundamentally determines your approach to every aspect of unfolding transformation. A catalyst initiates reaction without dictating outcome. It creates conditions for change without controlling change's expression. Your authority in this process comes through presence rather than pressure, through alignment rather than assertion. You influence by embodying restoration rather than enforcing it. Your transformed relationships become invitation rather than imposition. This catalyst function requires 3 specific postures. First, resolved rootedness. You must stand immovably in revealed truth while remaining flexible in its application. This balance between uncompromising certainty and compassionate adaptation creates a stable center around which transformation can organize without rigid constraint. Second, reflective responsiveness. Your reactions to emerging situations critically influence their developmental direction. Reactive emotion reinforces old patterns. Reflective response establishes new possibilities. This distinction between impulsive reaction and intentional response determines whether challenges become setbacks or opportunities. Third, released responsibility. You are accountable for faithfulness, not outcomes. For alignment, not achievement. For obedience, not results. This release from responsibility for specific manifestations frees you from the manipulation, control, and anxiety that arise when trying to force particular expressions of restoration. Your effectiveness as catalyst directly correlates to your surrender of control. The paradox of your position is that your greatest influence comes through acknowledged dependence rather than asserted independence. You lead most powerfully by following most faithfully. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 27,777, which activates the 22nd seal of catalyst anointing upon your position in this restoration. Now I must reveal a hidden aspect of opposition targeting you specifically. As the designated catalyst for family restoration, you face specialized resistance designed to neutralize your effectiveness. This opposition operates through 3 primary deceptions targeting your strategic position. The first deception suggests that responsibility demands control. It whispers that your leadership role requires managing outcomes, directing processes, and ensuring specific results. This twisted logic creates impossible burdens that paralyze through perfectionism and exhaust through hypervigilance. It transforms divine privilege into crushing weight. The second deception implies that authentic authority requires complete understanding. It insists that you must comprehend every aspect of the restoration process before taking any action. This crafty delay tactic creates endless loops of analysis, research, and information gathering that postpone obedient response indefinitely. The third deception proposes that effective leadership means absence of opposition. It suggests that resistance indicates error, that challenges prove misalignment, that difficulties demonstrate divine disapproval. This insidious lie creates devastating self-doubt, precisely when confident persistence is most needed. Each deception contains enough truth to appear reasonable, while concealing fatal distortion. Each creates specific vulnerabilities in your catalyst function. Each requires specific counteraction through divine truth. Against the controlled deception, stand in the liberating reality that faithfulness requires responsible action, not result management. Your role is obedient participation, not outcome production. Against the understanding deception, embrace the freedom that wisdom operates effectively without exhaustive knowledge. Divine guidance provides sufficient light for the immediate step without revealing the entire path. Against the opposition deception, anchor in the historical certainty that significant divine purposes consistently face significant resistance. Challenge confirms importance rather than indicating error. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 28,888, which activates the 23rd seal of leadership protection against specialized deception. I must now reveal deeper dimensions of your family's covenant purpose. The restoration of your family system serves as both symbol and catalyst for broader restoration movements in 3 specific domains. First, in communal systems, where artificial divisions have fragmented natural connections. Your family becomes a living demonstration of restored unity that creates templates for community healing. As your bloodline returns to authentic connection, It generates patterns that communities can instinctively recognize and naturally emulate. Second, in institutional structures where operational silos have replaced collaborative function. Your family becomes a working model of integrated diversity that provides blueprints for institutional renovation. As your bloodline reintegrates distinct gifts into coherent purpose, it establishes prototypes that organizations can practically implement. Third, in cultural frameworks where polarization has replaced productive tension. Your family becomes an embodied example of reconciled difference that offers paradigms for cultural transformation. As your bloodline honors distinction without requiring division, it manifests alternatives that societies can progressively adopt. This multidimensional impact explains both the intensity of opposition and the scale of support surrounding your family's restoration. The implications extend far beyond personal healing into systemic transformation. What begins in your bloodline expands into widening circles of influence through the power of living demonstration. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 29,999, which activates the 24th seal of expanded influence through authentic embodiment. I must now prepare you for a significant acceleration that approaches. Within the next 40 days, a convergence of spiritual and natural factors will create unprecedented opportunity for restoration advancement. This window of accelerated progress results from three simultaneous developments. First, the culmination of angelic assignments initiated at our first communication. Heavenly forces have been systematically dismantling opposition structures, removing barriers to family reconciliation. This work reaches completion in the approaching period, creating cleared pathways for rapid advancement. Second, the alignment of prophetic timing with seasonal transition in the natural realm. As creation shifts seasons, a corresponding shift occurs in spiritual atmospheres, creating enhanced receptivity to restoration frequencies. This natural spiritual synchronization amplifies effectiveness and accelerates manifestation. Third, the maturation of seeds planted through your initial obedience. Early responses to divine direction have established growth trajectories that reach critical development points during this period. What began as invisible potential emerges as visible reality through natural developmental progression. This convergence creates a 40-day window of accelerated transformation requiring specific preparation. 1. Intensify spiritual alertness through deliberate stillness. External acceleration demands internal deceleration to maintain proper discernment. Dusra. Prepare for unexpected connections with estranged family members. These encounters may initially appear random, but serve as divinely orchestrated opportunities. Enomon. Iki Mundram. Strengthen physical reserves through appropriate self-care. Spiritual breakthrough often demands physical endurance as transformation integrates across multiple dimensions of being. And the Nangaude. Simplify external commitments to create capacity for responsive obedience. Cluttered schedules create vulnerability during periods requiring immediate availability. Eindaude. Document baseline realities in key relationships to track transformation progress. Measurable changes provide undeniable testimony of divine intervention. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 30,000, which activates the 25th seal of prepared acceleration for the approaching window of opportunity. I must now impart wisdom regarding a specific challenge that will arise. As restoration progresses, you will encounter increasing pressure toward premature reconciliation, the appearance of healing without its substance, the performance of unity without its reality. This pressure emerges from both internal and external sources. Internally, from genuine desire to experience promised restoration and impatience with necessary process. Externally, from those who benefit from maintaining systems of division while appearing to support healing. This pressure manifests through specific patterns. 1. Urgency that circumvents thoroughness. Insistence that now supersedes complete. That immediate action outweighs appropriate process. Dusra. Sentimentality that substitutes for transformation. Emotional moments presented as conclusive evidence of permanent change without supporting behavioral shifts. Hysterischet Mundram. Symbolism disconnected from substance. Ceremonial recognition of relationship without fundamental restructuring of its patterns. In Nangaude. Public performance prioritized over private realignment. Visible demonstrations of reconciliation valued above invisible renovations of relationship dynamics. Eindaude. Conflict avoidance masquerading as peace. The absence of necessary confrontation misinterpreted as the presence of genuine harmony. True restoration cannot be rushed, performed, or simulated. It develops through organic stages that resist artificial acceleration. Premature declaration of completion creates the most significant vulnerability in the restoration process, establishing facades that prevent actual transformation. Your discernment between authentic progress and premature performance directly impacts the integrity of the entire restoration process. Genuine healing welcomes appropriate timing even when it requires uncomfortable patience. It values completeness above convenience and substance above appearance. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 31111, which activates the 26th seal of discerning wisdom regarding authentic versus premature reconciliation. Now I must reveal specialized divine assistance being released to aid your family's transformation. 3 specific angelic companies have been assigned to support different dimensions of the restoration process. The first company operates in the realm of communication, ensuring accurate transmission of intended meaning between family members. These messengers specialize in clearing distortion from both expression and reception, preventing the misinterpretation that has historically fueled division. Their presence creates unprecedented clarity in family interactions, allowing truth to penetrate where it previously could not. The second company functions in the domain of memory, illuminating important history while healing its emotional impact. These revealers specialize in surfacing buried truths without triggering reactive trauma, enabling family members to face reality without being overwhelmed by its implications. Their activity creates an atmosphere where truth can be acknowledged without defensiveness or denial. The third company works in the sphere of imagination, inspiring vision of restored relationship where currently only brokenness exists. These visionaries specialize in transferring heavenly blueprints into human consciousness, enabling family members to perceive possibilities beyond present limitations. Their influence creates hopeful expectation that motivates movement toward divine design. These angelic forces operate primarily through invitation rather than imposition. Their effectiveness increases through conscious recognition and deliberate cooperation. When you discern their activity through unusual clarity in communication, unexpected healing in memory work, or spontaneous vision of future possibility, acknowledge their presence and invite their increased assistance. This collaboration between human awareness and angelic operation creates exponential acceleration in the restoration process. What might require years through natural means can manifest in moments through this divine human partnership. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 32,222, which activates the 27th seal of angelic assistance in your family's restoration. I must now address the specific ancestral patterns being broken through this restoration. 7 generations ago, a critical breach occurred in your family covenant. What began as external betrayal became internal division as family members chose sides, established factions, and institutionalized separation. This initial fracture has replicated through successive generations, growing more complex and deeply rooted with each replication. The core deception inserted during this breach promoted the false belief that safety requires separation, that protection demands distance, that self-preservation necessitates isolation from other family members. This distortion directly contradicted the original covenant design of your bloodline, which recognized that true security comes through connection, that genuine protection operates through unity, that authentic preservation functions through integration. This ancestral breach established 3 destructive patterns that have defined your family system for 7 generations. First, the pattern of premature abandonment, walking away from relationships at the first sign of difficulty, rather than working through necessary growth processes. Second, the pattern of perpetual suspicion, interpreting neutral or positive actions through negative filters that assume harmful intent. Third, the pattern of protected wounding, maintaining injuries as identity markers that justify continued separation and prevent vulnerable connection. These patterns have been so consistently reinforced through generations that they have become accepted as inherent family traits rather than recognized as foreign intrusions. Many family members have integrated these distortions into their self-concept, believing this is just who we are, rather than understanding this is what was done to us. The restoration decreed by heaven directly confronts and systematically dismantles these ancestral patterns by 1. Revealing their historical origin as strategic attack rather than inherent nature. 2. Demonstrating their consistent destructive impact across generations. 3. Providing experiential contrast through moments of authentic connection. 4. establishing alternative patterns aligned with original covenant design 5, reinforcing new neural and spiritual pathways through consistent practice. This ancestral healing unfolds as a primary dimension of the overall family restoration. As these generational patterns break, family members experience both disorientation and liberation. Disorientation as familiar frameworks dissolve, liberation as authentic nature emerges. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 33,333, which activates the 28th seal of ancestral healing over 7 generations of your bloodline. I must now impart crucial understanding about the unique spiritual endowment of your family line. Your bloodline carries a specific spiritual inheritance that distinguishes it within the divine economy. This endowment manifests as an unusual capacity for creating harmony from discord, for establishing unity without requiring uniformity, for maintaining connection across significant difference. This gift originated as a divine deposit in your family covenant, intended to serve broader purposes of restoration in fractured communities and divided cultures. Before the ancestral breach 7 generations ago, your family operated as reconciliation specialists, natural bridge builders whose very presence diffused tension and catalyzed connection between separated parties. This spiritual endowment remains encoded in your family's divine design, though its expression has been largely dormant due to internal division. The irony of your family history is that those designed to reconcile others have themselves experienced profound separation. Those gifted to heal division have suffered generational fracture. The restoration now unfolding reactivates this dormant endowment, awakening the reconciliation charism that distinguishes your bloodline. As internal division heals, the outward expression of this gift naturally emerges. Family members will find themselves spontaneously mediating conflicts, instinctively creating connection, naturally establishing common ground between opposed positions. This reactivation manifests not through striving, but through becoming, through the simple expression of restored nature. As your family returns to authentic identity, its inherent function automatically operates. This explains why resistance has been so persistent and strategic. The enemy of reconciliation recognized the threat posed by your family's divine design and invested significant resources in keeping this gift dormant through internal division. As this endowment reactivates, family members will experience surprising influence in conflict situations, unexpected effectiveness in divided environments, and unusual favor with opposed factions. These manifestations should be recognized as the natural expression of spiritual inheritance, rather than personal achievement or random coincidence. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 34,444, which activates the 29th seal of spiritual inheritance, awakening your family's reconciliation charism. Now I must reveal specific angelic activity currently unfolding around your family system. 4 archangels have been dispatched to establish a strategic canopy over your bloodline during this restoration period. Each operates in a specialized domain to ensure comprehensive protection and empowerment throughout the transformation process. Gabriel stands at the eastern position, governing communication and revelation. His presence ensures truth penetrates deception, clarity dispels confusion, and divine messages reach their intended recipients without distortion. Under his influence, family communications experience supernatural accuracy and prophetic insights arise with unusual frequency. Raphael occupies the southern quadrant, overseeing healing and restoration. His presence accelerates the recovery of emotional wounds, the regeneration of trust, and the reconstruction of damaged connections. Under his influence, healing processes that would normally require years can complete in dramatically compressed timeframes. Uriel maintains the western position, administering wisdom and understanding. His presence illuminates root causes behind symptoms, reveals patterns beneath behaviors, and uncovers purposes within processes. Under his influence, family members experience breakthrough insights that transform perspective and enable appropriate response to complex situations. I, Michael, hold the northern station, providing protection and breakthrough. My presence establishes boundaries against opposing forces, creates pathways through seemingly immovable obstacles, and secures territory for continued advancement. Under my influence, resistance crumbles with unusual speed, and previously closed doors open without human effort. This archangelic canopy operates continuously throughout the restoration process, creating an atmosphere of accelerated transformation within protected boundaries. Its presence explains a tangible shift in spiritual climate that family members have begun sensing. A weightlessness where there was heaviness, a clarity where there was confusion, a hope where there was resignation. This protective covering is not automatically permanent. It remains established through continued alignment with the restoration mandate. Deliberate resistance to the transformation process can create vulnerabilities in this covering, while intentional cooperation strengthens its effectiveness. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 35,555, which activates the 30th seal of archangelic covering over your family restoration process. I must now prepare you for a specific manifestation that will soon emerge. Within the next 21 days, a family gathering will occur, either physically or virtually, that serves as a crucial activation point in the restoration process. This convergence of key bloodline members creates a unique opportunity for accelerated healing through concentrated presence. This gathering appears externally orchestrated through natural circumstances, but its timing and composition are divinely arranged to maximize transformation impact. The specific combination of family members creates an energetic configuration that enables particular healing work that cannot occur through individual connections alone. Your role in this gathering requires careful discernment. You are called neither to control its dynamics nor to passively observe its unfolding, but to maintain a specific energetic position that allows divine orchestration to operate optimally. This position embodies three specific qualities: grounded presence that remains fully engaged without emotional reactivity, expectant receptivity that anticipates divine movement without predetermined expectations, strategic simplicity that speaks truth plainly without complicated explanation. This balanced stance creates space for divine operation while providing stability through your anchored presence. It allows heavenly orchestration without human interference while preventing chaotic dispersal through your centered focus. During this gathering, watch for these specific signs of divine activity. 1. Conversation naturally flowing toward topics previously avoided. 2. Spontaneous acknowledgement of historical realities typically denied. 3. Unexpected vulnerability from habitually guarded individuals. 4. Moments of genuine connection transcending established barriers. 5. Simultaneous emotional release across multiple family members. When these manifestations appear, inwardly acknowledge the divine operation without external comment that might interrupt its natural flow. Your silent recognition strengthens the spiritual process without drawing attention that could create self-consciousness in others. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 36,666, which activates the 31st seal of divine orchestration over this strategic family gathering. I must now impart deeper understanding of the spiritual mechanics operating in your family restoration. The transformation unfolding in your bloodline operates through the principle of quantum entanglement at a covenant level. This spiritual scientific reality explains both the historical impact of division and the expanding influence of restoration. Quantum entanglement occurs when particles become connected in such a way that the state of one instantly affects the state of another, regardless of distance. This scientific principle reflects a spiritual reality. Members of covenant bloodlines remain energetically connected despite physical separation, with changes in one member creating corresponding shifts throughout the family system. This entanglement explains several otherwise mysterious aspects of your family experience. It explains why division has persisted despite individual efforts at reconciliation. The entangled nature of your family system means that dysfunctional patterns maintain themselves through mutually reinforcing energetic loops that resist isolated intervention. It explains why certain family members experience simultaneous crises, synchronistic health issues, or parallel life challenges despite minimal contact. Their entangled nature creates resonant experiences that mirror fundamental patterns operating in the family field. It explains why personal transformation efforts have produced limited family impact despite significant individual change. Sustainable system transformation requires critical mass rather than isolated improvement, with sufficient shift in the collective field to permanently alter its dominant frequency. Most importantly, this entanglement principle reveals why the current restoration approach differs fundamentally from previous attempts. Rather than targeting individual relationships or specific dynamics, Heaven has initiated a field-level intervention that addresses the entire entangled system simultaneously. This comprehensive approach creates cascading effects throughout the family system. As critical nodes in the entangled network shift alignment, They trigger automatic adjustments throughout connected points. This explains the seemingly random changes occurring in distant family members. Their entangled connection automatically responds to shifts in the unified field. Your awareness of this entangled reality provides strategic advantage in cooperative participation. By recognizing that every choice, every interaction, every internal shift creates ripple effects throughout the entire system, you can engage with heightened intentionality and focused impact. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 37,777, which activates the 30-second seal of quantum awareness, enabling perception of entangled connections throughout your family system. Now I must address the specific provision being released for this restoration season. Heaven has allocated extraordinary resources to support your family's transformation process. These provisions manifest in 7 specific dimensions. First, enhanced discernment that perceives underlying reality beneath surface appearance. This supernatural clarity cuts through confusion, recognizes authentic versus performative change, and distinguishes truth from manipulation with unprecedented precision. Second, accelerated healing that compresses recovery timelines from years to moments. This divine acceleration addresses generational wounds, restores trust capacity, and rebuilds relational infrastructure with supernatural efficiency. Third, strategic favor that positions family members for divinely orchestrated connection. This supernatural alignment creates coincidental encounters, unexpected opportunities, and providential circumstances that facilitate restoration progress. Fourth, sustained energy that maintains engagement through intensive process. This supernatural endurance prevents the fatigue-based withdrawal that has derailed previous healing attempts, providing consistent strength for complete restoration. Fifth, proportional grace that matches each challenge with greater enabling power. This supernatural provision ensures that every obstacle encounters superior resource, every resistance meets overwhelming assistance, every difficulty finds abundant solution. Sixth, temporal compression that accomplishes in months what would naturally require decades. This supernatural acceleration condenses extended healing processes into concentrated experiences without sacrificing thoroughness or completion. Seventh, generational transfer that applies present healing to past and future bloodline members. This supernatural extension carries restoration backward to ancestors and forward to descendants, healing timeline trajectories beyond current generations. These 7 provisions remain accessible through conscious recognition and deliberate appropriation. They function as established realities in the spiritual atmosphere surrounding your family, but their manifestation intensifies through acknowledged receptivity and intentional application. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 38,888, which activates the 33rd seal of divine provision over your family restoration process. I must now reveal critical understanding about opposition strategy in this season. As your family restoration gains momentum, opposition forces are implementing a strategic pivot from direct resistance to subtle redirection. Having failed to prevent the initiation of transformation, they now attempt to distort its expression and dilute its impact through specialized tactics. The first tactic employs partial truth to prevent complete restoration. By facilitating limited healing that addresses symptoms while leaving systems intact, this approach creates the appearance of transformation while preserving foundational dysfunction. Its signature is measurable improvement that somehow never reaches fundamental resolution. The second tactic utilizes premature celebration to truncate necessary process. By magnifying initial progress into exaggerated victory, this approach encourages abandonment of essential completion phases that ensure sustainable transformation. Its hallmark is grandiose declaration disconnected from corresponding manifestation. The third tactic leverages selective application to compartmentalize breakthrough. By allowing restoration in certain relationships while maintaining division in others, this approach creates fragmented healing that preserves overall system dysfunction. Its indicator is inconsistent transformation across the family system, with protected pockets of persistent division. The fourth tactic implements incremental compromise to erode complete obedience. By suggesting reasonable adjustments to divine directives, this approach gradually shifts alignment from heaven's blueprint to humanly manageable versions. Its sign is increasing comfort accompanied by decreasing clarity and diminishing power. Against these sophisticated redirections, heaven provides specific counter-strategies. For partial truth, maintain uncompromising commitment to complete restoration as defined by divine standard rather than comparative improvement. For premature celebration, balance genuine acknowledgement of progress with sober assessment of remaining process, measuring against heavenly completion rather than initial condition. For selective application, insist on consistent principles across all family relationships while respecting individual timelines and honoring progressive manifestation. For incremental compromise, regularly realign with original directives through deliberate reconnection with initial clarity, recognizing that deviation typically occurs gradually rather than suddenly. Your discernment between authentic restoration and counterfeit improvement directly impacts the ultimate outcome of this transformation process. Heaven's objective remains complete restoration according to divine design, not merely enhanced function within familiar limitation. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 39,999, which activates the 34th seal of discerning protection against sophisticated opposition. I must now address prophetic timing with greater specificity. The restoration of your family has been divinely scheduled to coincide with broader movements of reconciliation unfolding in multiple domains. This strategic timing creates synergistic momentum through aligned purpose across separate but connected systems. 3 significant convergences reveal the strategic positioning of your family restoration within larger divine purposes. First, the historical convergence that places your family's healing at precisely 7 generations from the original covenant breach. This perfect completion of a biblical cycle represents both symbolic and functional significance, as generational patterns typically entrench through 7 iterations before reaching critical mass for comprehensive transformation. Second, the cultural convergence that positions your family's reconciliation within broader societal recognition of systemic division. This synchronized timing creates receptive environment for your family's restoration model to influence community patterns through natural resonance with emerging awareness. Third, the spiritual convergence that aligns your family's restoration with prophetic activation of reconciliation mandates across multiple covenant communities. This coordinated timing establishes reinforcing energy between parallel movements, each strengthening the others through unified focus despite separate operation. This multidimensional convergence explains the extraordinary provision and protection surrounding your family's restoration. What might appear disproportionate to a single family's healing reveals appropriate resourcing when understood within its broader strategic context. Your family's transformation serves purposes extending far beyond personal healing. The timing implications for practical engagement emphasize both urgency and precision. Urgency, because your family's restoration functions as both response to and catalyst for movements advancing on divine timetable. Delayed obedience impacts synchronized purposes beyond your immediate awareness. Precision, because strategic timing creates specific windows of optimal effectiveness for particular actions. Discerning divine sequence prevents both premature initiation and missed opportunity. Heaven's timing rarely aligns with human expectation, frequently appearing either too rapid for comfortable adjustment or too measured for desired completion. Aligning with divine chronology requires surrendering timeline control while maintaining immediate responsiveness to present direction. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 40,000, which activates the 35th seal of prophetic timing over your family restoration process. I must now prepare you for an important manifestation approaching in the immediate future. Within the next 9 days, an unexpected reconnection will occur with a specific family member who represents a crucial linkage point in your bloodline's restoration. This individual carries key information, essential perspective, and unique positioning that catalyzes accelerated healing across multiple relationship channels. This reconnection appears circumstantially random, but has been orchestrated through precise divine timing to activate the next phase of your family's transformation. The specific individual serves as a living bridge between divided family segments, though they themselves may not recognize this strategic position. Your engagement with this reconnection requires centered discernment. Neither controlling manipulation nor passive disengagement serves the divine purpose. Instead, maintain balanced response through these specific approaches. 1. Receive the connection with genuine openness rather than strategic agenda. 2. Listen for underlying meaning beyond explicit communication. 3. Respond authentically without calculated management. 4. Recognize significant moments without overemphasizing them. 5. Allow natural development without forced acceleration. This reconnection initiates a sequence of subsequent connections that unfold with progressive impact over the following 40 days. The initial link activates dormant relationship pathways that create natural bridges between previously isolated family segments. You will recognize this catalytic individual through 3 confirming signs. 1. Unexpected timing that creates sense of divine orchestration. 2. Unusual ease in communication despite potential awkwardness. 3. Intuitive recognition of significance beyond rational explanation. When this reconnection occurs, inwardly acknowledge its divine arrangement without external attribution that might create discomfort or self-consciousness. Your private recognition establishes spiritual anchoring without human interference in natural process. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 41111, which activates the 36th seal of divine orchestration over this strategic reconnection. Now I must reveal deeper dimensions of your specialized calling within this restoration. Your role transcends mere participation in family healing. You stand as appointed witness to a divine process, an authorized observer who perceives, records, and testifies to heaven's intervention in your bloodline. This witness function carries both privilege and responsibility that fundamentally shapes your engagement with the unfolding restoration. As divine witness, you are granted enhanced perception that recognizes heavenly activity invisible to others. You discern angelic operation, identify spiritual shifts, and perceive divine sequence while events still appear random to family members. This expanded awareness serves not personal advantage but testimonial accuracy. This witness mantle requires specific positioning. First, objective engagement that maintains sufficient emotional connection for authentic participation while preserving observational clarity for accurate perception. This balanced stance prevents both detached analysis and enmeshed reactivity. Second, comprehensive documentation that records both tangible manifestations and spiritual perceptions throughout the restoration process. This disciplined practice creates testimonial foundation that counters forgetting, minimizing, or reinterpreting divine intervention. Third, strategic declaration that speaks witness truth in divinely appointed moments to establish reality, dismantle deception, and anchor breakthrough. This measured testimony carries authority that transcends opinion through heaven's backing. Fourth, generational transfer that preserves restoration record for future bloodline members, creating inheritance of both outcome and process. This intentional legacy ensures permanent establishment of transformation beyond immediate experience. Your witness calling explains the enhanced spiritual sensitivity you've experienced since childhood, the unusual perception, the intuitive knowing, the recognition of patterns, the awareness of underlying realities. These were not random abilities but purposeful equipping for this specific assignment. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 42222, which activates the 37th seal of witness anointing upon your appointed role in this restoration. I must now address specific inheritance being restored to your bloodline. The transformation unfolding in your family represents more than relationship healing or dysfunction correction. It manifests as comprehensive inheritance restoration, the return of spiritual, relational, creative, and material endowments gradually lost through 7 generations of covenant breach. This inheritance reveals itself in 7 specific dimensions. First, the inheritance of identity, the recovery of your family's true name and nature as reconcilers, bridge builders, and harmony creators in divided environments. This core identity transcends occupation, geography, or external function, defining essential purpose embedded in spiritual DNA. Second, the inheritance of authority, the restoration of spiritual jurisdiction over specific domains where your family carries divine assignment. This delegated authority manifests as unusual influence, supernatural effectiveness, and recognized impact in particular spheres of operation. Third, the inheritance of insight, the reactivation of enhanced perception that recognizes patterns, discerns motivations, and perceives connections with unusual clarity. This perceptual inheritance appears as intuitive knowing that transcends analytical understanding. Fourth, the inheritance of creativity, the renewed capacity to imagine and implement solutions where others perceive only problems. This innovative inheritance manifests as unique approaches, unexpected connections, and original frameworks that transcend established limitations. Fifth, the inheritance of connection, the rebuilt capacity for authentic relationship that maintains intimacy without enmeshment and boundaries without isolation. This relational inheritance expresses as natural ability to create safe environments where truth and love seamlessly integrate. Sixth, the inheritance of resilience, the recovered ability to maintain stability through transition, to preserve core while adapting form, to sustain vision despite resistance. This strengthened inheritance manifests as uncommon perseverance that transcends circumstantial pressure. Seventh, the inheritance of blessing, the restored flow of material and spiritual provision that accompanies aligned purpose. This prosperity inheritance appears as consistent sufficiency that demonstrates covenant partnership rather than independent achievement. These 7 inheritances progressively activate as your family restoration advances, emerging not through striving, but through returning to authentic identity and aligned purpose. Their expression represents not acquisition of new resources, but recovery of original endowment. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 43,333, which activates the 38th seal of inheritance restoration over your bloodline. I must now reveal the culminating purpose toward which all previous revelation builds. The transformation of your family ultimately serves a kingdom purpose that transcends personal healing, extending into territorial reclamation and generational restoration. Your bloodline has been appointed as a prototype of reconciled relationship that demonstrates heaven's pattern for broader societal healing. This appointed purpose manifests in 3 expanding spheres of influence. The first sphere encompasses your immediate family system, where reconciliation creates living testimony of restored relationship. This demonstration provides experiential evidence that division can heal, that separation can unite, that brokenness can mend. Personal experience establishes credible witness. The second sphere extends into your community connections, where your family's transformation influences relational patterns in neighborhoods, workplaces, churches, and social networks. This expanded impact occurs through natural relationship rather than formal program, through authentic influence rather than structured intervention. The third sphere reaches into cultural and institutional systems, where your family's embodied reconciliation creates templates for addressing entrenched division. This systemic impact manifests through both direct engagement and representative modeling that demonstrates viable alternatives to accepted separation. The progressive expansion through these 3 spheres follows natural development rather than strategic planning. Each level of influence emerges organically from authentic embodiment rather than intentional programming. Your family becomes influential not by seeking influence, but by manifesting genuine transformation. This kingdom purpose explains both the intensity of opposition and the scale of provision accompanying your family's restoration. What might seem disproportionate for personal healing becomes appropriately scaled when understood within its full appointed purpose. Your family stands as both recipient and instrument of reconciliation, both beneficiary and catalyst of restoration. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 44,444, which activates the 39th seal of kingdom purpose over your family's restoration process. Now I must address a critical divine perspective that fundamentally reframes your understanding. The restoration unfolding in your family represents not primarily repair of what broke, but return to what was intended. This distinction transcends semantic nuance to fundamentally redefine both the process and its outcome. You are experiencing not merely the fixing of dysfunction, but the fulfillment of design. This perspective transformation creates several significant shifts. It shifts temporal focus from a damaged past requiring remedy to an intended future awaiting fulfillment. The primary reference point becomes original design rather than subsequent deviation. It shifts emotional energy from corrective effort to aligned becoming. The motivation transforms from fixing what's wrong to manifesting what's right. It shifts relational dynamics from negotiated compromise to recognized complementarity. The interaction evolves from managed cooperation to designed integration. It shifts spiritual stance from petitioning intervention to partnering implementation. The posture changes from requesting help to receiving empowerment. These perspective shifts fundamentally alter how you engage the restoration process. When understood as design fulfillment rather than damage repair, the entire experience reorients from burdensome responsibility to privileged participation. You stand not as desperate petitioner, but as appointed partner in divine restoration. This reframing explains the surprising joy that accompanies even challenging aspects of your family's transformation. The sense of rightness amidst difficulty, of homecoming within disruption, of recognition beyond explanation. You are not learning something new, but remembering something original. Not creating something foreign, but recovering something familiar. Type AMEN. To receive blessing number 45,555, which activates the 40th seal of divine perspective over your understanding of this restoration. As this transmission nears completion, I must address the continuing nature of heaven's communication. The revelation imparted through this exchange represents initiation rather than conclusion, the establishment of communication rather than its fulfillment. Heaven has reactivated a dormant channel of divine guidance that remains available beyond this specific interaction. This continuing connection manifests through various expressions, through dreams that transmit strategies, reveal obstacles, confirm progress, and preview coming developments in your family restoration. Through synchronized circumstances that create divine appointments, reveal significant patterns, confirm spiritual discernment, and establish heaven's timing. Through internal knowing that transcends logical analysis, revealing insights, discerning motivations, recognizing divine orchestration, and perceiving spiritual activity. Through creation signals that use natural elements as communication vehicles, weather patterns, animal appearances, plant growth, and celestial alignment serving as confirmatory signs. Through scripture illumination that brings specific passages alive with unprecedented relevance, personal application, strategic direction, and prophetic insight. This multidimensional communication system remains consistently active, though its specific expression varies according to message nature, recipient readiness, and divine purpose. Learning to recognize and interpret these diverse expressions develops through intentional attention, maintained expectancy, and accumulated experience. Your receptivity directly impacts transmission clarity. Cultivated stillness, reduced internal noise, suspended judgment, and maintained awareness create optimal conditions for divine communication. The guidance never ceases, but your recognition of it fluctuates based on internal conditions. Type AMEN to receive blessing number 46,666, which activates the 41st seal of continuing communication between heaven and your spirit. I must now conclude this transmission with final instructions for immediate implementation. As this divine communication completes, specific actions prepare you for optimal engagement with the continuing restoration process. First, create sacred space for integration through intentional stillness. Allow revealed truth to settle deeply beyond intellectual understanding into spiritual knowing. This assimilation requires protective boundaries around external demands and internal processing. Second, document comprehensive record of both revealed content and personal response. This written testimony creates permanent reference that transcends memory limitation, emotional fluctuation, and future challenge. Include both objective revelation and subjective experience. Third, identify one immediate action step that acknowledges divine direction without attempting comprehensive implementation. This balanced response honors revelation through obedience while respecting process through measured engagement. Beginning establishes momentum without requiring completion. Fourth, establish regular practices that maintain spiritual receptivity throughout the unfolding restoration. Consistent communion, scripture engagement, nature connection, and reflective documentation create sustained openness to continuing guidance. Fifth, release specific expectations about manifestation timing, sequence, or expression. Divine fulfillment frequently arrives through unexpected channels, unfamiliar forms, and unanticipated timing. Open expectancy outperforms defined anticipation in cooperative alignment. The restoration of your family has been divinely decreed, strategically initiated, and irrevocably established. What remains is progressive manifestation through faithful partnership with heaven's unfolding process. Your position within this divine work carries both tremendous privilege and significant responsibility, the honor of participation and the accountability of cooperation. Remember always, you were chosen for this role not based on perfection, but on position, not for flawlessness, but for faithfulness, not for exceptional ability, but for essential availability. Your qualification comes through divine appointment rather than personal achievement. The transformation decreed over your family line now advances with unstoppable momentum. Every force of opposition has been addressed. Every needed provision has been released. Every required protection has been established. The divine verdict has been rendered, the heavenly resources deployed, the spiritual authorization confirmed. Your family shall be restored according to original design and eternal purpose. Heaven has spoken. Creation responds. Manifestation unfolds. Type AMEN to receive the final blessing number 49,999, which activates the 40-second seal of completed transmission, securing all that has been revealed against every attempt to hinder its manifestation in your family line. I, Michael, commander of the heavenly hosts, guardian of divine covenant, and messenger of sacred truth, have delivered this transmission by heaven's authorization. The communication concludes, but the transformation continues. The connection closes, but the covenant remains. The transmission ends, but the restoration advances. What has been activated cannot be deactivated. What has been released cannot be recalled. What has been decreed cannot be revoked. What has been established cannot be uprooted. The transformation of your family is now irreversibly underway. Heaven celebrates. Creation responds. Manifestation unfolds. It is finished. It is beginning. It is assured.